Yeah, it is. Hello. Welcome to the Paris International Film Festival Q&A. I'm AJ Merlin. I'm a writer and creative mindset coach. And today I have the pleasure to talk to Erin Kenway, producer, and Katherin Hervey, the director of The Prison Within. So this is a documentary that shows a hopeful alternative to the current US justice system, and it is an inspiring exploration of the healing and transformation of convicted people and victims of crimes. And this is an eye-opener that locking people forever in jail is not the solution. So, hello, ladies.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Hey,
Bonjour.
welcome. I was going to say good evening, but it's good morning, good afternoon.
Morning.
Oh
Here.
my God, morning, and here I am evening. Thanks for being here with us, and thank you so much for making this documentary. It's interesting because it's not like a fancy topic, and I think you mentioned that in the documentary that you're like, oh, it's them. It has nothing to do with me. And so that's why I'm curious. And my first question to you is, how did you come up with this idea? And especially with your background, if you want to introduce yourself to us, like, how did you end up working on this project?
I'll start. So, hi, my name is Katherin. I'm the director and producer of The Prison Within. And this film started at this point probably over 7 years ago. I first started developing it. I have a lot of background in criminal justice as a Los Angeles public defender, as a restorative justice advocate, as an activist. And at the time, I was a volunteer prison college instructor in a men's prison, and really working and coming into relationship with men, many of whom are still sentenced to actually die in prison today, who are deemed the worst of the worst, irredeemable. We need to lock them up for life. And what I was really witnessing was the exact opposite. And what was most fascinating, troublesome to me, is that what I saw in these men and what I saw with numerous people behind bars is higher levels of integrity and purpose and commitment to themselves and their communities than, honestly, I would even say I still have yet to witness on the outside of the walls with those of us who are free, who are supposedly better adept at dealing with society. And this disconnect for me was extremely heartbreaking. It was very troubling. And the film really stemmed from that.
Okay. And Erin?
Hi, I'm Erin Kenway. I'm producer, writer, executive producer of The Prison Within. I got involved in the project farther on in the process. Katherin was a few years into the project, maybe 4 now. And we met through a mutual friend. I am also an attorney, practiced for about 10 years in domestic violence work on the civil side. And like Katherin saw that the needs of victims weren't necessarily being met, and that those we define as victims aren't what we necessarily think. Most people in prison are first a victim of a crime or some sort of domestic abuse. And so it was a really interesting project that I couldn't help but get involved in. There's a level of empowerment there to be able to participate and contribute on a grander scale than just taking on one case. I was already interested in doing a career shift into filmmaking full time. So it's a perfect opportunity for me and an incredible project to get involved with to make really a big difference. And I had a background in social psychology and criminology. Those were my university degrees as well. And so it was really just an incredible subject matter that needed to be told, and Katherin's creativity and lens to be able to tell it, and the access she got. San Quentin is not easy to get into to film, and especially this circle work. It's very difficult. And she had built this trust and rapport with the administration, and we are here today with this incredible opportunity to share it with the world.
Yes, thank you for doing this. So I'm going to unpack a lot of things you just said. Let's start with Katherin. So you started because you saw all those convicted people, and they were different from what the world would like to see them, right? So how did you end up meeting Jamie, and how did you end up saying, right, I want to film this and set up everything?
Ah, that's such a great question. Thank you. So from the beginning, I knew that I also wanted to bring in survivors of crime and survivors of violent crime, because like Erin said, people are first survivors before they commit crimes. Hurt people, the cycle continues. And at the time, actually, even before I started making the film, I was working with survivors in different restorative criminal justice contexts. And I was finding that many of them, of course, were not satisfied with what the criminal justice system was giving them, but that them being survivors and being victims was also drawing up their own violence and their own problems and their own issues and their own addictions within themselves. And I found Jamie's story online, trying to find people, really trying to find survivors to bring into the film. And Jamie, for your viewers who haven't watched the film, she was kidnapped. Oh,
You okay?
Well, no, I just lost you.
We can see you, we can hear you.
Can you still see me? I guess I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
A little weird. Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. It's because somebody was calling me.
That's fine.
Oh no. Okay, well, I'll just keep talking. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. There you are. Okay, good.
Technology. We're all still struggling.
Jamie's horrible story. She was kidnapped when she was a young girl, when she was about 12 years old, and along with two other young girls, and was repeatedly raped and sexually assaulted and beaten, really. And she managed to escape, and of course went through life trying to heal from her traumas, but not really being able to heal from them. And there was two things that she said in her story, and one was that as she kept going further and further and further on in life, even though she was trying to deal with her trauma, was that she was feeling the more and more unhealed it was, the more that she was seeing how she wasn't necessarily that different from the men who had committed the violence against her. Not that she was going to commit that violence, but she saw that emotion and that rage inside of herself. And it was when she went inside of the prison that she was really able to first experience any true healing. So when she went inside the prison and sat with men who had also committed violent crimes, that was when she first started healing herself. And I thought it was so beautiful what she said. She said that it was because she was in a room with people who knew violence. And so for the first time, she felt that she was being listened to, that instead of people drawing farther and farther and farther away from her because they couldn't really connect to her experience, and so they were coming in closer and closer and closer. And I really liked what she said when she said, maybe I'm not that different from the men who kidnapped and assaulted me. And that to me was the prison within. I already had the title, The Prison Within. That was the concept that I wanted to explore. And I really felt like this is it. Like, this is that complexity. This is that juice. This is that beauty. This is where we don't want to go, where I really wanted to go.
Okay, brilliant. And so you met with her, and is it her who introduced you to those meetings then?
Sorry, say that again.
So you met with her, you talked to her, and so we see in the documentary those meetings, right, when you have convicted people and victims talking with each other. So how did you end up knowing about learning about those meetings and then being able to film there?
Yes, through Jamie,
Yeah.
because we went and we interviewed Jamie and we met Jamie. And at that time, that was, years later after she first went in, she was working as a facilitator with the Insight Prison Project in Vogue, the Victim Offender Education Group, which was, the circles that we eventually filmed. And from there, it was just, it was about, the next steps, getting permission from the prison, getting permission from people to film.
How was it to get access? Was it difficult? Was it easy for you to get access, to get those authorizations?
No, it took at least a year, probably over a year of kind of going up and down the chain from the top of the CDCR, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, back down to the warden. In the middle there was a food strike, a hunger strike. They ignored me. I was just extremely, extremely, extremely persistent. Like I literally think that they just let me in so I would go away sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So
And,
what kept you going then?
I think people kept telling me it's so hard to get in. You're not going to get in. You're not going to get in. And honestly, I was just like, I'm going to get in. I'm going to get in.
With Katherin, I will tell you, if you tell her she can't do something, it's going to happen. So, I probably test that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I really felt compelled to make this film and to bring out these stories and for these men to tell their stories. And I just believed it was going to happen.
And so, Erin, you mentioned you joined later. So when exactly did you join the project?
It's been a little over 3 years now. And as many filmmakers know out there, don't give up. Financing will eventually, you'll find the right partner. And Katherin and I got together, and I knew that there was this opportunity to rise from the complacency and really to make a difference in a way that I had not been able to achieve before. And so we helped finance part of the film. We also helped get more additional funding and developed an incredible business partnership, I think, creative team as well, to really work hard together to make it what final project was.
And so you said you met thanks to a friend, right? And so tell me a bit more about your collaboration. What's the dynamic between you two?
Oh, go ahead. Well, I just wanted to add to what Erin was saying before. So, I mean, making an independent film is very, very, very hard, because it's so beautiful, but you're constantly looking for money, for people, for help. And at the time, it was like 90% of the filming was done. We had started editing, but it's just like the resources were zapped. And so Erin came in and really believed in the film and believed in the mission. And I immediately saw that, I'm going to bring her on, ask her to come on as a producer as well, because I saw that she could be valued in many ways, and, kind of helping to collaborate and be a sounding board. How can we best tell the story? Is this right? Is that right? At the time, I was really kind of just like, it was me and the editor, just like, and, it's such a collaborative medium. So it was really wonderful to bring more people in.
Yeah, so the dynamic, AJ, to answer your question, is pretty much what Katherin just echoed, is that, we have a very, I think both of us being lawyers, we're really familiar with the collaborative process, like you would with colleagues in a firm. And she's become basically my second partner, because as my husband says, I think I'm on the phone more with her than I talk to him, at least during the process, the last year. And we really just worked well together, from sitting down and looking at clips and moving things around and storylines and getting the teams together that we needed to do post-production. And really just, we have an incredible honesty with each other. We'll push each other. There are things that will challenge each other. And I think that that's how we ended up with such an incredible film is really the safety and security. We created space for each other. Just like the film talks about. You need to create space for others and hold their opinion and value what they have to say and share. And it's okay if you have that safe space to share your feelings. And you aren't going to always agree. Right now, our world is not in agreement about a lot of issues. That's okay if we're willing to hear and discuss the facts together and share opinions. And that's what Katherin and I did. And I think that's how we ended up with, I think, a beautiful partnership.
Yeah, and I think we can see the work, the hard work, and the passion in your film when we watch it. And Katherin, I wanted to ask you, how did you build a trusting relationship with the people you filmed?
It's interesting. People always ask me that. I think it was two things. I think one is that, you know, I had worked with Sonia, who's in the film as one of the facilitators, Sonia Shaw, to kind of, you know, yeah, to kind of like figure out who is best for the film. And so, you know, by the time I came in, I had Sonia's trust, and I think the men trust Sonia, so therefore they trusted me. But I also think, you know, for me at that point, walking into a prison was normal. It was not new. And what I've really learned is that people in prison, especially people who've been there for a very long time, unfortunately, as the men in our film have been, you know, I always say they can smell bullshit from the parking lot. So, you know, I hope, or I've gotten the feedback right away. What's that?
You're an honest and vulnerable person. You opened your walls and let them in first.
Yeah. And so, you know, I just showed up. I showed up with my whole heart. I showed up with a lot of love and compassion for them. And I think that was seen and felt.
Yeah, and have they seen the film?
Oh yeah.
Well, everyone that's out has seen the film.
Okay.
So Nate and Sane have not seen the film. And you know, at this point, we would have been in probably doing a screening in San Quentin probably long ago, but of course, you know, current circumstances.
The guys who are out, Troy, Sam, and Michael, actually joined us at our world premiere in Santa Barbara. They have participated in many panels. They're so busy doing their own work within their communities and strengthening their own communities with their hard work that we try to not put it on them too much to come to every interview, but they are just as passionate about the project, and they love the film, and they love the story that we told, because it was really sharing their truth. I've said in other interviews, you know, and this goes to other filmmakers, when you're making a film, especially a documentary, you're not telling your story, unless the documentary is about you. You're telling someone else's truth and story, and there has to be an honor in the way that you do that. And you really have to put aside your own ego and your own expectations so that you can make sure that other people's needs are met, so that you honor their truth. And I think we did a really wonderful job with that, which is why we had that trust with our cast.
I think you do.
These are our friends. These are our friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're on the phone all the time with them.
And it's very inspiring, because I remember watching the film and I was like, what's going on in the UK? Do we have something like this? How can I help? I think it's very empowering, and you want to join in, you want to do something. You did really a beautiful job there.
Thank you. Well, I think it helps. I never thought that some of my closest friends would have been convicted murderers, convicted of the crime of murder. I'm a survivor, a rape survivor myself, and I never thought that I would consider someone who was a criminal label as some of my closest friends. My perspective, my world has shifted. That line of us and them has really been dissolved, and working on this film actually healed me in so many aspects, because I learned so much about ways that maybe I contributed to certain behaviors or other people around me, and how I've influenced them. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for the incredible honesty and truth and story that the men have shared with me. So it's pretty powerful.
Wow.
Powerful. And I hope that you guys do have some restorative justice work.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this with us. Yeah. Ooh. Thank you, Erin, for sharing that with us. Okay, moving on to the next question. So this documentary has a narrator, there's a voiceover actor. So I wanted to ask, how did you choose your voice actor? What were you looking for?
Yeah, so this is something that Erin and I did together, because of course the narrator comes on at a later time. And even in working with our editor, Eric Frith, we felt that the narrator, of course, had to be a man. And so, because the way that the film had to be constructed was that each of the guys in the circle, we didn't have time for each of them to be a main character. So the circle itself was a character. Them coming together in and of itself was a character. And we wanted the narrator to almost kind of be the voice of the men. Was how we were kind of framing it. And so, that voice had to be a man, preferably a Black man. And Hill Harper also, it had to be somebody who was involved in fixing our, systemic oppressions, our systems of mass incarceration, who is a very vocal advocate for, racial discrimination, police brutality, all of that. He had written some books, Letters to an Incarcerated Brother. And yeah, it was really, Erin was the one that brought up Hill Harper, right? You were very familiar with him. So maybe you should speak.
Yeah. Well, we had a long list we researched. We had a long list of advocates and very activists. That was something Katherin and I said, budget-wise, we don't care, we're getting this, because it's really, really, really important, we thought, to make sure that it validated the project to a degree, because it's when you read the synopsis, when you read the logline, it's kind of, right away your beliefs are going to be challenged, or your assumptions are going to be challenged. And we really wanted to ground that with someone who's been very active in the movement. So we definitely had a list. I kept pushing for Hill. We had a couple others. One was was unavailable. Another one took forever to get back, finally did, and begged us to have two narrators, and we said no. It took a little too long to get back to us. And so I was really excited. And ironically, it's usually really hard to kind of break the wall of that celebrity wall and get through. It was a 5-minute phone call with his rep. This is the project. And the answer was yes before I think I was finished with my first sentence. I mean, it's like this, because we did our research and we knew that we were coming to his team with something that was a passion project for him. And so that was an incredible opportunity. And he is one of the individuals with the highest integrity I've ever met out of this Hollywood scene. And I can't say enough positive things about him and who he is as an individual. And having as a narrator, he even creatively was collaborating with us in the booth. We were talking and debating on modern political news events that were going on, but also with the film, and it was just an incredible opportunity for Katherin and I to learn from someone who's so seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know, he's actually a graduate with honors from Harvard Law. He was a lawyer as well. Well, he never practiced, but yeah.
That's interesting that when you were doing the casting, you were like, oh, we want someone that's, activist, that's looking after that cause, that was important to you. And I really, really like that. And I think it can show as well. It adds more to the dedication there than just having someone reading the text.
Yeah, we watched a documentary. I won't say what it was, but it involved technology and like Bitcoin or something. And the actress who was the voiceover, Katherin and I said, that's a really odd choice. because it just seemed so, there was like this huge juxtaposition, and we thought, oh, that's strange. Maybe, you know, she's got a tech background we didn't know about. But I think it's really important to ground a documentary. If you're going to use a narrator, because it's a creative choice, you don't need a narrator. But if you do, that really it grounds the film and it doesn't distract. So
Yeah, I love it. What's your favorite memory working on this project?
I can see mine.
Yeah. I mean, you know, being in those circles, filming those circles, it's really, really, really powerful. I mean, of course, there's so much that wasn't used, so much that wasn't used. And being there with, you know, it was an honor. Like, it's an absolute honor to sit in circles with those men and to like really be in conversation with them and to ask them questions about what they're, not as a filmmaker, you know, myself and my husband, Massimo Ardetti, who's also the same, where they're filming together, we would step into the circle as participants, not even as filmmakers, to kind of, you know, all be working through the issues together. And yeah, it's, you know, it's just an honor to be led in that way.
For me, I would say that seeing the impact the stories had on the audience. I mean, COVID has really thrown a wrench in the festival circuit for us. But watching the power of the story, she'll come back. I think she's having it. Watching the impact and the power of how the stories impacted those, particularly those who came in kind of already like, I already know what my opinion is. You're not going to change my mind. Yeah. And we had some feedback screenings where at the end, folks were coming up saying, I didn't think you could change my mind. I was certain what my ideas were. And they were hugging Troy and they were crying, and just really, there was a shift in our perspectives. And I think that right now, COVID isn't helping any country feel, or any individual in a country feel connected to others. But there's a power in this film that gives you this sense of connection. And whether you've experienced trauma, know someone who's experienced trauma, like, you're gonna feel that connection, I promise you. This isn't about prison. This isn't about prisoners. This is about people and humans and how we've all experienced certain events in our lives that have impacted us for the better or worse. And watching that in person, we sold out of all of our screenings. For the only festival we could do in person, we sold out of all of our screenings, had an additional big theater of 600 people sold out, that they would follow us on the street and hug us and tell us about their stories. They'd want to share. They felt that vulnerability. And to me, that is why I think film's an incredible medium, because there's a safety and security in a theater for you to really process an experience that you can't necessarily do in everyday life when the experience occurs. And that was really, truly, for me, the most powerful that I've ever, I mean, just it's incredible when you just see that impact. So
that's, and I think you will still impact a lot of people, even though there's no like face-to-face screening and we have to do everything virtually. But I'm sure filmmakers here and our audience here that has seen the film, and if you haven't seen it yet, go now on the website and go and watch it.
Yes, watch it. This is actually the only opportunity. This is our European premiere. It's our actually non-North America premiere, so, you know, international. You cannot see this film anywhere else besides North America, except for at Paris International Film Festival, because we don't have distribution in Europe yet.
I was going to ask you, how do you feel about screening here for this festival?
We're so excited. We get so many emails from people, all from universities, individuals who run programs all over the world, begging us, please, when is it going to be available? And it's not yet. So this is your only opportunity to see it, is at Paris International. We were very particular. Jenna is an incredible executive director of the program, and begged. I know, so we're really, really excited. So please do watch. This is going to be your only opportunity in Europe for now.
Yes. So there you go. If you're not
That's
watching it yet, what are you waiting for? Katherin, you're back. Yay.
Yeah.
So I was
Sorry
just
about that. I
asking,
don't know where I
no
went.
worries, no worries. So I was saying we're in the middle of a pandemic, anything can happen. I think everything is fine.
It's hard to really adapt, right?
Exactly. This is what it is. So Erin was sharing how she feels about screening this film at Paris International Film Festival, and so I'm even more excited now. There's exclusive viewing here in Europe. So how do you feel, Katherin, about us European?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. It's our European premiere. And, you know, it's the United States justice system. And so I'm really excited to see what the response is, right? Because I think we connect to it in such a different way than you probably connect to it there. And so I'm looking forward, or hoping to see what the responses are and how people connect to this film, given their different perspective of our incarceration systems. I mean, from what I can see is that it's crazy. I think that you guys look at our system of mass incarceration, you're like, oh my God, what are they doing over there? This is insane, right? And I think for many of us over here, we also live with it, but a lot of people think it's great, and there's so many systems that keep propelling it. And I think we also feel it in a very personal way. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the reaction is.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of all the countries we have in Europe. None of us have death penalty. I can't think of a country right now which does.
Well, Norway is really big on restorative justice practices and principles, and really setting a bar for that. What's incredible about Paris International Film Festival is that it's really a place for independent voices that are showing a positive side and a positive light and outcome and possibilities. And that's so much what this film's about, right? Like showing a different side and perspective, and really like creating that sense of humanity and connection to others. And so, I mean, we couldn't think of a better opportunity.
And we're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for submitting your film so we can see it and share this beautiful message with others. Do you have any last message you would like to share with our audience?
Please follow us on social media. That's really a great way to stay connected to us. We actually do respond. Katherin and I, we run it. We're a small team in terms of just the day-to-day. So if you have questions, we're happy to answer them for you. Any distributors out there in Europe, we're here this fall. And actually, just any filmmakers out there, if you have a story that has impacted you, it's going to impact someone else. Tell the story. Don't give up.
And as you mentioned as well, you're really curious to see European reaction. So if you're an European audience member, do contact them to let them know. I'm sure they love to see
your
reaction. Yeah.
Good or bad, you want to hear it. It'll be good, but good or bad, you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and to share your journey and your project with us. I can't thank you enough for making this film and to show us really a more hopeful way, hopefully a new development and a new transformation in any justice system. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for the thoughtful questions and the thoughtful interview. It's always really wonderful to participate in.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay.